the invitation. This is a story about something I experienced during the winter of my third year at the company. It was mid-December, and work had finally slowed down for the year. As usual, just after 5 o'clock, my senior colleague Maya approached my desk. "Hey, do you have any plans for the New Year holidays?" Caught off guard by the sudden question, I answered hesitantly. "No, nothing in particular. I'm not even planning to go back to my hometown." Maya was 5 years older than me and had been incredibly kind to me since I joined the company. She helped me not only with work but also with personal matters. Always ready to listen. On weekends, she'd take me to amazing restaurants and hidden cafes. Everyone in the office knew her as someone who looked after her juniors, and she was deeply trusted by everyone. To me, she was like a reliable older sister. Perfect timing then. How about spending the New Year holidays at my family's home? Maya continued with visible excitement. "There's this special event that happens every year in my hometown. It's absolutely fascinating, and I've been wanting to show it to you for a while now." "An event?" "Yes. Every year, one person from the town is chosen, and they perform a traditional ceremony for that person. This year, my mother was chosen. The whole family is thrilled." Maya's eyes sparkled with genuine joy. It seemed being chosen was something to be incredibly proud of. "But won't your family mind having a stranger during the holidays?" I said hesitantly. I felt awkward about intruding on her family time when she was going home for the holidays. "Don't worry about it at all. My family doesn't mind that kind of thing. Besides, I think my mother would be happy to have a young person witness it." "What kind of ceremony is it?" "That's a surprise, but it takes place after midnight. So technically it runs from December 30th through January 1st, 3 days total. A ritual performed after midnight." It sounded mysterious and intriguing. "Our office closes on the 29th, so the holiday officially starts on the 30th. We'll miss the first night, but there's still plenty to see." Maya paused, looking thoughtful. "Actually, if you really want to see it from the beginning, we could leave right after work on the 29th and drive there together. I'd love to show you the whole thing from the start." But I don't want to impose too much. Honestly, I was curious about seeing it from the first night, but I felt guilty about accepting so much hospitality. Besides, a long drive after work would be tiring for Maya too. "All right then, we'll go on the 30th. I'll pick you up around 9 in the morning." Maya looked a little disappointed but quickly smiled again. "I'm looking forward to it. I promise you'll have an unforgettable New Year." There was something in her words that felt like more than just a polite phrase. To be honest, I didn't feel like going back to my hometown that year. My parents were alive and well, but we'd grown distant somehow, and I'd been planning to spend the holidays alone. For someone like me, Maya's invitation was a godsend. Anything was better than spending New Year's Eve alone and miserable. Besides, I was genuinely curious about this special event Maya kept talking about. Traditional rural ceremonies were foreign to me, having grown up in the city. "Thank you so much. I'd love to come." When I accepted, Maya beamed with delight. "Wonderful. It's settled then. Looking forward to the morning of the 30th. And so, I ended up spending the New Year at Maya's family home. At that time, I knew nothing. I had no idea what awaited me in that town. I didn't understand the true meaning of that special event, and I didn't know Maya's real reason for inviting me. If I had known, I would have refused without hesitation. But you can't turn back the clock. On the morning of December 30th, I would climb into Maya's car and head toward that town. Arrival and unease. December 30th, 9 o'clock sharp. Maya arrived at my apartment right on time. As I got into the car, she seemed in high spirits, starting the engine and saying cheerfully, "All right, let's go. It'll take about 3 hours, but we'll take it easy." For the first hour or so, we chatted about work, hobbies, and other trivial things. After we exited the highway and gradually entered rural roads, the scenery outside began to change. Buildings and apartment complexes disappeared, replaced by mountains and old traditional houses dotting the landscape. After driving for a while, Maya suddenly said something odd. "It rained yesterday, didn't it?" It was an abrupt shift in topic. She was right on the 29th. It had rained late into the night. I remembered hearing raindrops hitting my window as I was going to bed. "Yes, it did. I'm glad it's sunny today," I answered casually. But something felt off. There was a strange weight to the way Maya said it. "Can the ceremony still happen if it rains?" "Yes, it can. Last night's ceremony went ahead as planned," Maya answered while keeping her eyes on the road. "Actually, I went back yesterday too. I drove straight from work to my hometown, participated in the midnight ritual, then drove back early this morning to pick you up. So I'm exhausted right now." She let out a big yawn. Looking closer, I could see faint dark circles under her eyes. "Oh, I see. That must have been exhausting. But it was worth it. Tonight's going to be even more incredible." Her voice carried a mixture of anticipation and excitement. We continued driving, watching the scenery pass by, and arrived at our destination shortly before noon. The moment I stepped out of the car, I gasped at what I saw. Maya's family home was far more impressive than I'd imagined. It was an old Japanese-style house with black roof tiles, white plaster walls, and heavy wooden architecture. It looked like something out of a period drama, a dignified estate with real presence. But it wasn't the building itself that caught my attention. In the front yard, there was a massive pool of water. Actually, pool of water didn't do it justice. It was enormous, about 15 feet in diameter, as if someone had built a pond right in the garden. And the water wasn't clear. It was murky and brown. It looked like a giant tub filled with muddy water. That was the impression I got. What is this? While I stood there stunned, Maya said casually, "Oh, that's related to the ceremony. Be careful, it's pretty deep. Don't fall in." She spoke as if having a giant pool of muddy water in the front yard was perfectly normal. I carefully avoided the water and followed Maya to the entrance. When she slid open the heavy wooden door, a woman came rushing out. "Maya, you're late." "Oh, is this your guest?" She appeared to be in her 50s, graceful and refined. "Yes, she's my junior from work. This is my Aunt Keiko." Maya turned to me to explain. "She's my mother's younger sister. She's here to help with everything." I greeted her politely. Keiko welcomed me with a warm smile, but I noticed something complex in her eyes, an emotion I couldn't quite place. "Come on in. Lunch is ready. Please, go on through." The living room she led us to had the classic design of an old Japanese home. Beautiful carved wooden transoms, polished corridors, and heavy furniture. During lunch, I also met Maya's father. He was a quiet man who barely smiled, but he treated me courteously. Throughout the meal, I kept wondering about something. I finally asked, "Where is your mother right now?" Maya put down her chopsticks and answered with a smile, "Mother is preparing right now for the ceremony. The chosen one has many things to prepare." I see, but it seemed strange. Her daughter had brought a friend home for the holidays, yet her mother hadn't even come to greet me. No matter how busy with preparations, surely she could spare a moment for a quick hello. After lunch, Maya showed me to the guest room on the second floor. "This is where you'll stay tonight." It was my room when I was a student. It was a traditional 6-mat tatami room with a window overlooking the outside. After setting down my luggage and catching my breath, I glanced out the window and noticed something. I could see several neighboring houses, and there was something unnatural in their yards. Holes. Large holes big enough for a person to fit inside, gaped open in the gardens. And not just one house. From what I could see, at least 3 houses had similar holes in their yards. "Maya, what are those?" When I pointed them out, Maya came to the window and explained. "Oh, those are the markers of families waiting to be chosen." "Markers?" "Yes. Houses with holes either haven't had anyone chosen yet, or they're hoping to be chosen again. Houses without holes have already had someone chosen, or they've decided they don't need it." Maya continued explaining as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "When a family is chosen, that hole fills with water. Like ours. Over the course of a year, water gradually accumulates, and by December, the yard becomes that big pool." "Over a year?" "That's right. So being chosen is truly special. It's an honor that everyone envies." Even after Maya's explanation, I couldn't fully grasp what it meant. But I felt something cold spreading in my chest. Was this really a joyful festival-like event? The massive pool in the yard, the eerie holes in neighboring houses, the mother who wouldn't show herself. Everything was gradually building my anxiety, but I couldn't voice my concerns. As an outsider, I had no right to question something so important to Maya's family. For now, just rest until the ceremony begins. When night comes, you'll see something amazing. Maya said that and left the room. Left alone, I stared out at those holes. What was waiting inside those holes? And what exactly would I witness tonight? My anxiety only grew. The coming of night. That afternoon, I spent time in my room. Maya, exhausted from the previous night, fell asleep in her own room. I went downstairs and passed the time chatting with Keiko and drinking tea. Keiko was kind and easy to talk to, but occasionally I noticed expressions on her face that suggested she wanted to say something more. Evening came, and it was time for dinner. Maya woke up, and the 4 of us gathered around the table. Still, there was no sign of Maya's mother. No one mentioned it during the meal. It was as if her absence was completely natural. After dinner, I took a bath, then we sat in the living room, watching TV and making casual conversation. But as the clock hands advanced, I felt the atmosphere growing heavier. Maya's father remained as quiet as ever, occasionally checking the time and seeming lost in thought. Maya acted cheerful as usual, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was hidden behind her smile. It was just past 11 o'clock. Suddenly, the phone rang. The shrill sound pierced the quiet living room. Keiko stood up and answered it. "Hello?" I couldn't tell who was on the other end, but Keiko listened with a serious expression. After about 10 minutes, she hung up. Then she turned to Maya and her father. "It's almost time. Get ready and go." At those words, Maya and her father stood up silently. Then Keiko turned to me. "You stay here. I'll stay with you." Not understanding what was happening, I could only nod. Then Maya suddenly approached Keiko with a harsh expression. The atmosphere changed completely. And Keiko, you stayed home last night too, didn't you? Why? Maya's voice was colder than I'd ever heard it. I've told you for years I don't accept this. If you insist on doing it, do it without me. Keiko shot back defiantly. Mom was finally chosen, and you're still saying that? You received it yourself. And Keiko, even today, Mom has been preparing this whole time. I'm different from you people. Now hurry up and go. Their argument grew more intense. I couldn't understand what was happening and could only sit there trembling. The unease I'd felt during the day was rapidly transforming into fear. After arguing for a while, Maya glanced at the clock and seemed to realize something, closing her mouth. Her father had already headed toward the entrance. Maya began preparing to leave, clearly irritated. Just before heading to the entrance, she turned back to look at me. I'm even more fired up than yesterday. Watch carefully what happens next. Her eyes held an unsettling gleam. I couldn't find words to respond. The moment Maya's figure disappeared from the entrance, I heard Keiko rush to the door and lock it. Then she returned and gripped my hand tightly. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Keiko's expression was completely different now, utterly serious. It's past midnight now. At 1 o'clock, something will begin. If things continue as they are, you'll become the sacrifice. What? Sacrifice? What do you mean? My voice was shaking. I'll explain the details later. For now, just listen to what you need to do. Keiko grabbed both my shoulders and looked straight into my eyes. At 1 o'clock, go to your room on the second floor. Look out the window. No matter what happens, you must watch until the very end. Watch. What? A song. You need to hear the song they sing. You must listen to the very end. Don't cover your ears or look away. A song? What's going to? But whatever you do, don't call out to them. Just watch and listen. Don't do anything else. Understand? I couldn't make sense of anything anymore. I wanted to cry. I'd gotten caught up in something terrible. My head was spinning, and I felt on the verge of panic. Keiko gently stroked my head. It's okay. If you do exactly as I say, you'll be safe. Trust me. But what could I trust? Maya was my senior, someone I trusted completely. But now Keiko was calling me a sacrifice. Who should I believe? Time was passing mercilessly. The clock showed 12:30, 30 minutes until 1 o'clock. What was going to happen? My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might explode. You're scared, I know. But you're strong. You can endure this. Keiko's words didn't ease my terror. The clock in the living room ticked away. Each tick sounded like it was counting down my remaining time. 12:45, 12:50, 12:55. Time was closing in. It's almost time. Go upstairs now. Urged by Keiko, I stood on trembling legs. Please come with me. Please. I begged desperately. I'll be here. Come back down as soon as the song ends. Remember what I told you, follow it exactly. Keiko pushed my back gently. There was no escape now. I climbed the stairs toward that room. The moment I entered, the clock showed exactly 1 o'clock. Witnessing the ritual, the truth revealed. After I'd calmed down a little, Keiko said to me, we can't stay here any longer. It's just past 2 o'clock now. What you saw, it's going to happen again. Again? My voice trembled. At 3 o'clock, the song will be different from before. If we stay here, they'll gather around that pool again. And then it'll be too late. What should I do? We're going to my house now. It's outside this town, not too far. But you'll have to leave your luggage behind. Taking it with you would only put you in more danger. I'll explain everything once we get there. Come on, we need to leave now. We rushed out of the house. We got into Keiko's car, which was parked in a nearby lot, and left the town behind. Keiko drove in silence through the night. Outside the window was pitch darkness. I couldn't even tell where we were driving. But at least we were getting away from that house. That was my only comfort. We must have driven for about an hour. Finally, the car stopped in front of a house in a residential area. We're here. This is my home. Following Keiko inside, I found myself in what looked like an ordinary house. But when I saw the room she led me to, terror gripped me once again. In that room was a single low table, and covering the walls, even the ceiling, were countless paper talismans. What is this? I know this must seem overwhelming, but I can only talk about this in here. I'm sorry. Please bear with me. Keiko had me sit at the table, then sat across from me. A thought crossed my mind. Had I been deceived? Was Keiko also part of something terrible? But I had no other choice. Keiko began to speak slowly. I don't even know where to begin. First, let me ask you, what did Maya tell you? Why did you come to that town? I answered in a shaking voice. She said there's an interesting event every year, and invited me to see it. She said one person from the town is chosen, and they perform a ceremony for that person. She told me her mother was chosen this year. Did she say it lasted 3 days, and that today was the second day? Didn't she invite you to come from the first day? Yes, she said she wanted to show me everything from the beginning. But I was hesitant, so I decided to come on the second day. I see. Everything Maya told you was true. It is an annual event performed for the chosen person. And this year, Maya's mother was chosen. Her wanting you to see it from the first day had special significance. What kind of significance? Keiko took a deep breath. Did you see Maya's mother even once today? You didn't, right? Maya never told you specifically where she was or what she was doing. Of course she didn't. Maya's mother, my younger sister, is dead. She's been dead for years. What? I couldn't speak. It was when Maya was still in school, so quite a long time ago. So from the very beginning, when you heard the story, Maya's mother wasn't there. Then what does being chosen mean? It's a ritual to bring the dead back to life. Kiko's words froze my blood. Being chosen means receiving the chance to return to life. Every year, one person among the dead gets that chance, but only if the family wishes it. If they do, they dig a large hole in their yard to show their intent. If someone is chosen, water mysteriously fills that hole over time, creating a large pool. This happens gradually from January 2nd through December 1st, nearly a year. Then, from December 29th through 31st, 3 days they perform the ceremony you witnessed. I listened in silence. It was an unbelievable story, but after what I'd seen tonight, I couldn't dismiss it as false. The song changes between 1 and 2 o'clock, then again, between 3 and 4 o'clock. Each time period has different content, sung twice. Over 3 days, there are 6 different songs, sung 12 times total. What you heard was the 3rd song. After the 6th song, after the 12th and final singing, they push that person into the pool. Push them? Yes. And what crawls out isn't that person anymore, it's the chosen dead person who returns. The sacrificed person never comes back. Someone living disappears in place of someone dead. I clutched my head. Had Maya intended to do that to me? That said, most people nowadays perform it as a memorial service, just going through the motions. In the past several years, this is the first time anyone has actually tried to bring someone back. Or rather, Maya is the only one who's tried. Maya is obsessed with her mother. She hasn't been able to let go, even after all these years. From the moment she learned her mother was chosen, she'd been talking about you. I don't know why she chose you specifically, but Maya intended to sacrifice you to bring her mother back. Normally, coming on the 2nd day should have made this impossible. All 3 days are required missing, even one should nullify it. But the rain ruined everything. The rain? This ritual is called the frog song. Originally, it's connected to something that's been worshipped here since ancient times. Whatever can bring the dead back to life, it's not something on the level of ordinary spirits. That something is said to favor rain. If it rains during any of the 3 days while the frog song is performed, its power amplifies many times over. It rained yesterday. That negated the fact that you weren't there on the 1st day. Maya's mother, who should have only appeared on the 3rd night, was already in that pool yesterday. In the pool, when you first saw it, and during tonight's song she was staring at you from inside that murky water. When Maya said her mother was preparing, that's what she meant. My spine turned to ice. That pool, inside that muddy water, Maya probably won't give up. She'll keep waiting for her mother to be chosen again, so that hole in the yard will never be filled in. Learning the full truth, all I could do was tremble. Warning and farewell. That night, I stayed at Kiko's house, in that room covered with talismans. But strangely, I was able to sleep. Perhaps exhaustion and fear had simply shut down my consciousness. In the morning, when I woke up, Keiko had prepared breakfast. Did you sleep well? Yes, somehow. In truth, I felt like I'd been having nightmares the entire time. After breakfast, Keiko offered to drive me home. Before getting into the car, she looked at me with a serious expression. You must follow what I'm about to tell you, without fail. Yes, starting tomorrow, it'll be the new year. For the entire coming year, you absolutely must not get wet in the rain. Rain? That's right. On rainy days, avoid going outside at all. I know it'll make your life difficult, but you must follow this rule. Once the year passes, you'll be safe. I understand. If you're worried about anything, come to me. I'll give you my contact information. Keiko wrote a note and handed it to me. I'm sorry for putting you through such a terrible experience, but you're strong. You'll get through this. Take care of yourself. The car pulled away quietly. About 3 hours later, we arrived at my apartment. You're safe once you're here. Be careful. Waving goodbye to Keiko, I returned to my room. Alone again, I reflected on the previous night's events. Had it really been real? But the absence of the luggage I'd brought proved it had been real. When the holidays ended and I returned to work, Maya wasn't there. A few days later, the company received a call. My mother passed away, she'd said. People around me offered their condolences. But I knew the truth. Maya's mother had died years ago, and that ritual had failed. For the next several weeks, I agonized. Should I stay at the company? Could I face Maya? And how could I follow Kiko's warning? Don't go out on rainy days. But as an office worker, that was impossible. I could be caught in sudden rain at any time. I made a decision. I would quit my job. I explained to my supervisor that it was for family reasons. No one would believe the real reason anyway. And I went back to my hometown. My parents were surprised, but when I explained the situation, they accepted it. Of course, I didn't tell them the real situation. I just said I needed to rest because I wasn't feeling well. For the next year, I became a complete shut-in. Not just on rainy days, even on cloudy days, I didn't go outside. I checked the weather forecast every single day, and if there was even the slightest chance of rain, I wouldn't step foot outside. I declined all invitations from friends. I worried my parents, but there was no other way. One day, I got a message from a former coworker. Maya came back to work. She seems fine. Hearing that filled me with complicated emotions. Maya had returned to normal life, as if nothing had happened. And probably, she was waiting again. Waiting for the day her mother would be chosen once more. I hung up and looked out the window. The sky was cloudy. It might rain soon. I closed the curtains. 1 year later. 1 year had passed. Just as Keiko had said, I should have been safe now. I gradually began returning to normal life. I could go outside again, and I found a new job. That terrifying experience seemed to be slowly sinking into the depths of my memory. But recently, I'd started noticing something strange. Every time I looked in the mirror, I felt something was off. My face seemed to be changing, little by little. The shape of my eyes, the height of my nose, the curve of my mouth. Something was subtly different. Then one day, I realized it. There was a framed photograph of Maya's mother, the one I'd seen at the house that day. My face was beginning to resemble hers. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. But with each passing day, the resemblance grew stronger. And I started having dreams. Dreams of someone reaching out from the bottom of a pool. Who is the child who will return? After entering the room, I couldn't approach the window. Fear paralyzed me. I just crouched in the corner of the room, hugging my knees. What was going to happen outside? I'd been told I had to watch, but I didn't want to. But what would happen to me if I didn't watch? Conflicting thoughts swirled in my mind, and I felt like I was going insane. How long did I stay like that? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? My sense of time had become completely distorted. It felt like an eternity. Then suddenly, I noticed something. I could hear something. At first, I thought it was the wind. But no. Voices. Multiple voices coming from outside. Drawn by those voices, I found myself unconsciously moving toward the window. I pulled the curtain aside slightly and peered out. And I saw it. Around the massive pool of water in the yard, people had gathered. 20 people. No, there might have been more. Children, adults, elderly people. Men and women. People of various ages and appearances stood there. But they all had one thing in common. They were all completely soaked, as if they had crawled up from underwater. Their clothes, their hair water was dripping from them, and they all stared at the pool in unison, without moving, without blinking, just staring at the water's surface. The scene was deeply unnatural, lined up like dolls, not one of them moving. I couldn't even tell if they were alive or dead, that's how eerie it was. My body froze with fear. I almost forgot to breathe. Then I heard it, the singing. At first it was quiet, as if coming from far away. But gradually, it became clearer. No one seemed to be opening their mouths wide. Yet somehow, the voices reached my ears distinctly. Multiple voices overlapping, creating discordant harmonies. Then I could make out the words. Where is the child who cannot return? The child who cannot return is in the pond. The voices were low, heavy, and crawling. Who is the child who cannot return? The child who cannot return is... I couldn't catch the name they sang there, but I understood that some important name was being sung. The song continued. Where is the child who will return? The child who will return is outside the pond. My spine turned to ice, because the next name I heard was my own. Who is the child who will return? The child who will return is... My name was sung by multiple voices. I wanted to cover my ears, but Kiko's words echoed in my mind. I had to listen to the end. I endured with everything I had. The song continued further. What is the child who cannot return doing? The child who cannot return is crying. What is the child who will return doing? The child who will return is croaking. When that final verse ended, it started again from the beginning. The exact same lyrics, the exact same melody. It was the second round. Where is the child who cannot return? The child who cannot return is in the pond. I pressed myself against the window, continuing to watch. No one moved. They just stared at the pool while singing. Actually, rather than singing, it was more like they were being controlled by something. That was the impression I got. The second round progressed. My name was sung again. And then, the final verse. What is the child who cannot return doing? The child who cannot return is crying. What is the child who will return doing? The child who will return is croaking. The song ended. Sudden silence. The eerie singing vanished as if it had been a lie, and nothing could be heard. No wind, no insects. Everything seemed frozen in complete silence. Then, in the next moment, one person raised their head. It was Maya. Her face wore a broad smile. No, it was more like a twisted expression of joy. Maya was looking straight up at me in the second floor window. Those eyes were not the eyes of the kind senior, who had invited me here that afternoon. They had changed into something else entirely. I couldn't make a sound, could only receive that gaze. How long did that last? Maybe seconds, maybe minutes. Suddenly, Maya turned her face away and began walking. Then all the others started moving at once, as if life had been breathed into dolls. Everyone followed Maya in a procession. That line disappeared into the darkness. I collapsed where I stood. All strength had drained from my body. It was over, finally over. But was it really over? My body continued trembling, and tears overflowed. After a while, I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. It was Keiko. She opened the door and rushed to my side when she saw me. "It's over. You must have been terrified. You did well to endure it." Keiko embraced me. "You're safe now. You're safe." Hearing those words, I burst into uncontrollable sobs. What had happened? What was that? There were so many things I didn't understand. But I knew one thing for certain. I had witnessed something terrible, and it would change my life forever. The child who will return is. In my dreams, I could hear that song, my name being sung over and over again. Today, it's raining again. I took my umbrella and went outside. But when I arrived at the station, I realized something. I'd left my umbrella on the train. The rain was getting heavier. What should I do? If I go home now, I'll get soaked. But it's been over a year, so I should be fine. Keiko said after 1 year, I'd be safe. I started walking in the rain. Cold raindrops hit my face. My clothes were getting wet. It's okay. I'm safe now. I kept telling myself that. I got home and looked in the mirror. And I froze. The person reflected in the mirror wasn't me. It was Maya's mother's face. Completely. No, this isn't me. But that face was definitely making the same movements as me in the mirror. At that moment, my phone rang. The screen displayed Maya's name. We hadn't been in contact for months. With trembling hands, I answered. "It's been a while. How have you been?" Maya's cheerful voice came through. Actually, Mother was chosen again. This year, my body stopped moving. So this time, I really want you to come from the very beginning. From the 29th. That's okay, right? On the other end of the line, Maya was laughing. "Because you're already one of us now." I stared at myself in the mirror. At me, with Maya's mother's face. And I understood. Who had crawled out of that pool that night? Where is the child who cannot return? Who is the child who will return? The phone line was still connected. Maya's laughter continued to echo. The end. Thank you for watching.